Hello, everybody, and welcome to One Question with Pastor Adam. And I am Adam, and I am pastor to believers and to doubters, to unfaithful Christians and to faithful atheists. And Jesus wasn't afraid of questions, and neither are we. My question is, why is it so cold? It's here in Portland and it's freezing outside. So why is it so cold? Probably because it's January 17th. That's one reason why, Adam. But anyway, hope you are doing well. And here we are we are in season 5 of One Question with Pastor Adam. And man, I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time with all of you. So whether you're watching the live show, Melanie says, yay. We have titled this episode, How Adam Got His Groove Back. And Melanie says, yay, Adam got his groove back. That's awesome. I was like, oftentimes in my work, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? And I turned 46 this week. Yes, on January 15th is my birthday. I turned 46. Now, I've had two major reactions, two primary reactions. That's what I should say. Two primary reactions to this. First is when I tell people at the church, the majority of them look at me and say, oh, you're such a baby. 46. I don't know. I don't feel like a baby anymore, but oh, you're so young, you're such a baby. So that tells you something about the demographics of our local church here, and it's likely the demographic of most local churches. But anyway, my children, when I tell them that I am 46, they already know that I'm 46, but they remind me that I was born in the 1900s. So funny. 1900s, Dad. You were born in the 1900s. Yeah, when they used to have wagons that were drawn by horses. Yeah, the horses. Yeah, that's when you were born, Dad. Back in the 1900s. Oh, it's so great. So I'm getting it from both ends of the spectrum here. I'm just 46, and it feels kind of good. I think that the most depressing birthday that I had was when I went from 29 to 30, because that was when I was like, okay, I'm no longer a child. I'm an adult. That's what I should say. I'm an adult now that I'm 30. So I remember that year being the most depressing, but now I'm 46, 16 years later, and I'm feeling pretty good, I think, about myself. It's been a really rough year. I did lose my groove last year, and I think I'm getting it back. And so that's why we have titled this episode How Adam Got His Groove Back. Whoops, that was not groovy right there. I just laughed, and if you're watching the live show, you saw a little spittle on my beard. So that was not groovy. So we'll just wipe that off. So if you're listening to the podcast, you're lucky you didn't see that. So Sharon, good to see you. You too, Sharon. Yeah, you were born in the 1900s. Yeah. Okay. Melanie was also born in the wagon era too. My kids are funny. My kids are pretty funny. So Sharon, thank you for the happy birthdays. Yeah, and Melanie says, oof, you're old. Thank you, Melanie. Yes, that's what my children say too. So it's good. But I was noticing this last week or two that my cheeks are sore. And I'm like, why are my cheeks sore? And I think it's because I'm smiling so much. So why am I doing, like, I'm not intentionally smiling. I'm just like what's going on with me when my cheeks are sore? This happened last year. I had a major life change last year that was needing to happen for probably a couple of years. And it was really difficult and hard, and also freeing. And so my cheeks were sore after that event. And because I was smiling so much, because it was freeing. And just like a weight had lifted off my shoulders. I felt so light. But then as the year went on, I things changed inside of me and I got super depressed and I lost my groove. I stopped posting on social media as much as I used to. And there was something wrong with me. I was going to therapy. I was taking my vitamins, doing all the things, but there was something that was just not right inside my soul. And I think I figured out something of what it was. And it may sound so simple to you. Um, but to me, it was this, it's kind of been a spiritual discipline. And I'm just going to tell you what it is. I'm celebrating the small things in life. And this may sound like obvious to you, but it has changed everything for me. And it has made me so much happier. My cheeks are sore again. And that's awesome. I'm laughing so much more. So I used to do this with myself and with others. And then I got out of the habit. Um, but it looks like this. It looks like there was a time when I had a hard time getting out of bed, which was really different for me. It told me that this is not who I am. You know how like there are some people who just have a really hard time getting out of bed because they're not morning people. I am the opposite of that. I am a morning person. And I hope you still like me after you hear that from me. But I wake up in the morning and my body is like, okay, Adam, you gotta get stuff done because you have about from 6:30 till noon when this is like your prime time for getting stuff done. Well, in this like deep depression that I had a hard time getting out of bed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to face the day. And so that just led me into this change of this pattern of who I am and who I've always been. And so I started getting back into this mode of celebrating the small things in life like they were a big deal. And getting out of bed in the morning was like, this is a big deal, Adam. Like, you can do this. And it was worth celebrating. I would put my shoes on in the morning and it would just be this moment of celebration. Whenever I would like think, okay, I can exercise today, I'd put on my running shoes and I would say, good job, Adam. Good job. A little pat on the back, self pat on the back. This is the self talk that I used to do quite much more easily. And then I got out of the habit because depression hit me hard. And now I'm starting to get it back. And celebrating just lacing up the shoes, celebrating getting out of bed in the morning. I have friends that are doing things, and I think this is key to friendship, and maybe I think this is key to relationships, like close, intimate relationships, right? Like, how can you celebrate one another? Like, not just on birthdays. Like, yeah, that's great. Like on the big days, right? The things that everybody is here to celebrate for, right? But how do you celebrate other things in life? Like, I'm a pastor, and so every Sunday I have to, well, I shouldn't say I have to. I get to deliver a sermon. That's a win, right? Like, when you do your job, that's a win. When I started building Legos, right? And that was last year because I needed a hobby. I needed something new in my life to put together, uh, just something to do, something to give me something to look forward to, right? And at the beginning, you have the first step and you get that first step done. It may be just two pieces that you put together. That's worth celebrating. When you get to the end and you have this thing that's constructed, that's worth celebrating. And guess what? Every step in between can be a cause of celebration, right? That is what I'm trying to take on in this phase of my life as my philosophy. So, for example, today I had nothing to talk about for the podcast. I was like, what am I going to talk about? I have no idea. I don't want to do it. And what am I going to do? Well, I'm doing it. And it's going to be a short podcast today because I've got a 1:30 meeting. And that is I'm going to end the podcast and I'm going to say I did it. And that's worth celebrating. Celebrate the small things. The things that, other people may be like, why are you celebrating that? Celebrate it anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Do that. See if it causes any change or shift inside of you. Yeah. And if you've got loved ones around or friends that you can celebrate with, I know, like, as I'm saying this, like, it may sound kind of, is it narcissistic to celebrate these things? I don't know. I don't really care. I don't think it's narcissistic to celebrate the small things in life. I think that this is actually a practical way to change the tape that is in all of our heads. The tape that tells you that you're not good enough. Maybe you had parents who could have been a little better, who weren't who you needed and told you that you weren't enough. Maybe our culture, capitalism, whatever it is, it's constantly telling you that you're not enough. This way of celebrating the small things, the big things, whatever it is in our lives, the getting out of bed in the morning, this is a way to stick it to the tape, to get a new recording in your head. And that is a gift that I'm trying to give to myself. And if it fits for you, I'd invite you to see if that gift is something that you want to give to yourself as well. Like, those tapes are lies, and you can record over those tapes by celebrating the small things and by doing other things too. I'm sure you can find many other things in many other ways to record over those old tapes that keep playing in your head, keep playing in my head about not being good enough in one way or another. And you know what? This will also my kids could also say, Dad, you grew up in the age of those tape players where you could record. It was, it's like those buttons that had the play, the stop, the record button. those those old stereos. Yes, wagons, 1900s in the wagons, and the old stereos. Yeah, well, you can go back and you can hit that record button and you can make a new recording, and that recording says, yeah, I'm here to celebrate. I'm here to celebrate getting out of bed in the morning. I'm here to celebrate. Some of us, like, if you're like me, I've always been like, maybe I can write a book. Maybe there's a book inside of me, and I just haven't done it. And I'm not setting myself up, because whether I write a book or not, I don't really care. But if I were to write a book, each word that you put on a page could be worth celebrating. Each page that you write, that's a celebration. How do you celebrate it? Well, you could go out to dinner. You could do something big to celebrate it, or you could just look at it and savor those words that you put on the page. Right? You could be, maybe you want to start a podcast, and when you're in the middle of a podcast, you're like, yeah, I'm going to celebrate this. This is awesome. Like, I'm going to savor this moment right here in this podcast. And I'm savoring it right now, celebrating it. Thank you for letting me celebrate. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I do have a meeting in about 15 minutes to go over some things with church folk. So that's going to be awesome too. So anyway, let's get at some comments. And how does this feel to you? Celebrating the small things. One of the things that I have coming up is one of the themes that I am also trying to hold on to is in John chapter 15. Jesus says that he came that he said these things, his teachings. He said these things so that you may have his joy and that your joy may be complete. So often, like, religion gets framed as joyless, as rule following, as something you have to do in order to earn salvation. It's a wet blanket. That's what that is. Religion can often be just this wet blanket. And who wants to wear a wet blanket? I don't. I want to take that wet blanket right off. I've got all these metaphors. I hope that's okay. The tape that's playing, the wet blanket that you're carrying around. What would it feel like just to take that off, right? Just to set that down. I think that's what Jesus is inviting us to do when it comes to this aspect of religion that just feels like this big, heavy, wet blanket that we're carrying around. He says, this is supposed to give you joy. This is supposed to lighten your burden, right? That's what Christianity is supposed to be about. So, the other tape that we have inside of ourselves, and that I have inside of me, I don't know if you have it inside of you. I would bet that you probably do, but that is the religion tape, right? Like, you have to do these things perfectly. You have to follow the law. You have to do all of this in order to earn God's favor, in order to earn salvation or be good with God. And it's, in fact, the opposite is true. Jesus reveals that, like, God is already good with us. That's the good news, right? God is already good with you. You don't have to do anything. And once we realize that, Jesus says, this if this isn't giving you joy, just put it down and try something else. I'm not going to say you should live like this. You should be joyful. Like, I'm not going to shove joy down your throat like that, right? Like, life is hard, and hard, difficult, painful things happen to us. And there are times when we do things that are painful towards others, right? Like, both of those things are true. And that's even more reason to celebrate the small things in life and the big things in life, right? When bad things happen to us, they don't define us. Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do define us, but they don't take away the fact that we are beloved children of God. There are some things that happen in our lives that are like, there was me before this event happened, and there was me after this event happened. And I've had events like that in my life, some of them really bad. And there's pre-Adam and there's post-Adam. And what can we do in the face of those things? We can continue to celebrate the small things in life, to not let those. It's one of the members here at the church, Jeff, you know him. He says the Latin phrase of this: don't let the bastards get you down. Don't let the bastards get you down. Don't let the bastard things in life get you down. Celebrate the small things. So, okay, that's my 20-minute rambling for the show today. That's how Adam got his groove back, by celebrating the small things. So I don't know if this is going to lead me to more posting on social media. What's going on with TikTok, by the way? Trump promises that he's going to save TikTok because it helped get him elected. That's narcissism right there. But is TikTok going away? Are we keeping it? I have no idea. Cliff, good to see you. Yeah, it's good. Laura says, my dad says people confuse me for an adult because of my age. That's good, Laura. It's good to have dads and children to keep you humble, isn't it, Laura? Cliff says, I find each decade just gets better. May that continue. Cliff, may that continue. Suni says, I was born in the 60s. Oh, you people are so funny. I love it. Melanie, I have hypersomnia and have extreme difficulty waking up, whether I've slept 8 hours or 18 hours. Yeah. I know, Melanie. I know. And I see you, and I love you, and I know. Yeah. Laura says, today I celebrated roasting red bell peppers and making them into a salsa style of yumminess with basil leaves and vinegar. That is worth celebrating, Laura. Yes. Oh, can you bring some of that salsa to church sometime? I'd love to celebrate that salsa with you, Laura. That sounds fantastic. Caroline says celebrating the small things is a great way to be kind to yourself. Yeah. 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 Yes. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah. I think it's the intentionality, the constant, like, that's why it's a spiritual practice. Celebrate the small things, right? Celebrate the small things, the big things. And I used to try to do this with this like I was getting at friendship earlier, and I really think that like friendship, relationships, intimate partnerships, like one thing to one thing to help solidify them, nurture them is to celebrate these moments. Like you find a friend who something good happens in their lives. And how can you find ways to celebrate that, to acknowledge it, to say, I'm proud of you, uh, and to help them celebrate, to celebrate with them? Because that can be difficult to do, because sometimes, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, never happened to me. Sometimes you can get envious of good things that happen in other people's lives, right? And you don't want to celebrate it because, dang it, that should have happened in my life. That can make celebrating other people's victories difficult. And, when that happens, I've tried to be able to notice it inside of myself. And once you notice it, there's a much better job of being able to control it and to move beyond it, that kind of envy, and come to the point of, yeah, great work. Let's celebrate. Can I take you to lunch? Can I take you to dinner? Can we just take a moment and savor the success that you had? I think that's a big deal in our personal lives and in our relationships. But yeah, always watch out for that envy. Yeah. Melanie says, I have to celebrate the small things because I struggle to get anything but small things done on a daily basis. But that's totally valid. Melanie, I celebrate with you getting the small things done. Melanie, I know it's hard to get out of bed, this hyper insomnia. And I'm celebrating you, Melanie, getting out of bed. Mm. Let's see, where are we? Princess, greetings to you, my friend. David Massey. Good to see you, David. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. David was my chaplain in college, and for my senior year. And David was very impactful on my life for numerous reasons, including that was a really difficult year. That first year David was there, because it was 2001, 2002, and Dave, I celebrate that time that we had with each other, because that was a difficult year. 9/11 had just happened in that year, and to be able to walk through that with such a great mentor, and to go through that senior year with you, brand new there at Linfield, that was a big deal for me. And David and our fellow mentor Bill was a big deal too. And I'm just so grateful for the time that I got to share with you and with Bill. And I celebrate those times. So thank you. Wasn't expecting that to come out, but that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Do you have people in your past that you celebrate? That's another good way to do this too, is to like think back to the people who have changed us and to savor those moments with them in our memory or together. Denise says, I remind myself constantly to celebrate the small things, especially when I'm aware of how much other people have lost and how they struggle. The LA fires, Ukraine, Palestine, sick family members, and on and on and on. It's okay to celebrate. Thank you, Denise. It's okay to celebrate the small things in life. Sometimes we think of what's happening in other parts of the world, and we can start to feel guilty about celebrating the small things in life. But one of the things about TikTok that has been helpful is seeing videos from folks in those parts of the world and how they encourage the rest of us to have joy in our lives, to not look with pity upon them and feel guilty about joy in our lives, but to also see that in those circumstances, like the Palestinian videos where you've got Palestinians posting videos of them dancing on top of the rubble, having these moments of joy in their lives where it's like Jeff here at church says, don't let the bastards get you down, right? We're not going to let this rubble get us down. We're going to face reality, and we're also going to dance. It's okay to dance. I hope you do some dancing. I hope you find time to celebrate the small things, do some dancing, little singing in the shower. Jesus came to give us joy, and may you have joy in your life. And thank you for being here and helping me find that joy and helping me get my groove back. So that's what I got for you today. I'm headed into a meeting. So thank you for being here. We will do it again next week. And until then, God be with you, friends. Take care. Bye-bye. Heather, heart to you too, my friend. I'm going to celebrate that heart. I'm going to laugh and celebrate that heart because it gives me joy. Thank you, Heather. All right, friends. See you next week. Bye-bye.